Hi and welcome to my Flosstube number 13, which is a special Flosstube because this is a WIP parade and I have 47 WIPs. So it might take some time, but I will try to not talk too much about each WIP. My name is Esther and I live in Denmark, and yeah, I guess that's what's to be said about that. It's very hot here, so my brain might start sizzling. We have about 31 degrees here, and that might affect my capability to speak English. So now I have warned you up front. Since I have 47 WIPs, I decided I would show them to you in the order that I started them. And the first one I started in 2007, 2008, I don't know exactly. It's this one. It's a printed chart, a printed pattern, and usually I don't do stuff like that. And I'm very tired of it, and I really don't want to finish it because I'm really bored, because yeah, you might be able to see that all that print, it's not exact. That means sometimes it goes between two holes, and that's very annoying. But I do like the motive itself, and this is actually also one of my WIP Go goals that has been drawn, and I have to finish it before the end of the year, and I'm not sure I'm going to do that because I really don't like stitching on it. And the Ada is so stiff, and usually I don't mind that the Ada is stiff when I start a project, because since I stitch in hand, after some time it will soften up and then it will be okay to work on it. This one doesn't. So that was WIP number 1. And I think I will not say the numbers of the WIPs. Instead, I will put up the numbers so you can see how far we are. The next one I showed you in my last Flosstube. It's Chris Norman, my favorite singer, and I haven't been stitching on him since last time. It's a pattern I made on my iPad, and I have just recently got it into Pattern Keeper, but I'm not done with putting in which symbols I have sewn, so it might take a while before I stitch on that again. The next one is a WIP that I haven't shown before. Maybe I should also say that the Chris Norman, I started it on the 23rd of March in 2020. And that was actually the date where I started stitching again, you know, with the quarantine, lockdown and stuff like that. The next one I started on April 19th in 2020, and I haven't been stitching on it for a very long time. It's an illegal pattern, I found out later. By then I had already stitched a lot on it, so eventually I'm going to finish it. But it's not in Pattern Keeper. I only have the digital version. As you can see, it's from Frost, and it's not for me, it's for my nieces. But I don't know when I'm going to finish it, because I get pretty bored stitching when something is not in Pattern Keeper, I must admit. So eventually I will finish it. On the 18th of June 2020, I started on I Love Cats, and I have shown it before. And as you can see, it's not that I need a lot, but I'm bored with it. It's not in Pattern Keeper, so I'm really not good at finishing. Now I'm not good at finishing projects that are not in pattern keeper. On the 4th of July 2020, I began this one, which I found in Kreuzstich Motive, a German cross-stitch magazine. It's called Darf ich einziehen? It means can I move in? And it's very cute. But again, it's not in pattern keeper. So, but I think I might try to scan it and then put it in pattern keeper as a picture. That might help, because it is actually very cute. On the 12th of July last year, I began stitching on geometric fan, and the pattern was in blue colors, and I chose autumn-like colors. And again, this is not in pattern keeper. Maybe it would be I would have been better off if I didn't start using pattern keeper, because I have a problem finishing all those WIPs that are not in pattern keeper. Oh well. The next one is my only black work, and it's called Black Work with Cat, and it's from Peppermint Purple. And maybe I should start saying what I stitched it on. This is on Zweigart even weave 28 count, called Butterscotch, and as you can see, it's glittery. Eventually I will finish this, but again, you can't use black work in pattern keeper. So, and I started that on the 22nd of July. The next one I haven't shown you either before. It's a pattern I made myself. I call it cross stitch cushion, and it's on 16 count Ada, easy count, and it's, yeah, as you can see, it's a lot of phrases we use when we stitch, and I still have a long way to go. And this one is not in pattern keeper either, but actually I haven't tried to put it in, so maybe I can, because I do have it as a PDF, so I might be lucky. But as I said, I haven't stitched on it for a long time. But you can see how wide it's going to be, and oh, as you can see, it's going to be pretty big. I think I have 10 or 12 lines horizontally. On the 22nd of December last year, I began stitching on the temperature tree, and up until April I was actually very good at keeping it up to date, and then in May I started my Stitch Mania. I'm not going to do a Stitch Mania like that again. I mean, it was fun, but it meant that I got way behind on my temperature tree. Okay, a certain vampire also influenced on how much I got to stitch on my other stuff. So I haven't been stitching on it for a long time, as you can see, because now we're in July and I'm still in May. But I reckon that when I eventually will get my surgery, I will have plenty of time to stitch, and it's my plan to take a WIP, and in this case to get it up to date, and other WIPs to finish them, and yeah, and let's see how it goes. This is also one of my WIP Go projects, but it should just have, I should just have finished until November when the year is gone, and then I have accomplished my goal. And this is on 14 count light blue Ada. And On the 11th of January, I started Victoria Street by Galliana cross stitch. And as you can see, it's still not done. This one is actually in Pattern Keeper. But again, a certain vampire has taken my stitching time. And it's on the 16 count black Ada. On the 16th of January, I began on my first hate. It's called Quarantine Cats, and I stitched it on 18 count, and I haven't stitched on it for a long time. This is how far I got. On the 17th of January, I began stitching the other street from Galliana cross stitch. This one is called Rose Street, and I haven't stitched on it for a long time as well, even though it is in Pattern Keeper. I said before that a certain vampire spike has been the reason for not stitching on all my projects, but that's not completely true, because Stitch Mania meant that in the month of May, I had to start a new project. Not every day, but I think I started about 26 or 28 new projects. And in the middle of that, I began stitching on the first spike. I don't know what I was thinking, because it took almost all my stitching time. On the 29th of January, I began stitching, it's called Snowway by Emma Congdon. I found it in Cross Stitcher magazine. And this is how far I got. I don't know if I'm going to turn it into a pillow. It's square in its shape. Or if I'm going to make it to frame it. I haven't got any idea yet, because it's going to be this big. So it's almost a quarter of it. And that one isn't in Pattern Keeper. No, it's not. So on the 6th of February, I began yet another WIP, which is also not in Pattern Keeper, but in this case it's not a problem, because it's a pattern that I now know by heart. It's my star pillow, which I stitch with silks from Misusitas called Oxide. And I bring this when we are driving somewhere or at staff meetings, because then I can just sit and stitch. And it's going to be a square, and you can see it's about 18 fields down and 18 fields this way horizontally. On the day after, on the 7th of February, I began stitching The Night Before Christmas from Cross Stitcher magazine. It's stitched on 14 count light blue Ada. And by the way, those WIPs where I forgot to say what it's stitched on, I will put it down here on the screen so you can see it there. Okay, on the 22nd of February, I started a pattern I call Bees. It's from a Danish magazine. This I stitch on even weave, 25 count. So there's one finished bee up there, and then there. And I haven't stitched on it for a very long time. The pattern is not in Pattern Keeper. On the 26th of February, I began Shannon Christine Designs called Looks Like Christmas, and got this far. This is also a part of my WIP go. And I think I haven't achieved the goal yet. I think I need to stitch another 3 hours on it. But I still have time for that. The day after I started that one, I started on the 27th of February, I started the Halloween Hoot Owl from Just Cross Stitch Halloween Magazine 2014. And this is one where I actually have a matching needle minder. I find it very cute, but it's not in Pattern Keeper. It's on 14 count Ada, hand dyed by me. You can see it's hand dyed. It's not that much, but a little. And now we come to something which I might turn into a UFO. I find it so boring. I don't know why on earth I started this one, because I mean, I started it when I made those Flosstubes where I talked about the history of Danish samplers, and I thought, hey, it could be funny to try stitching a Danish sampler. There is a reason I don't do samplers, because I will never put them up on my wall. So anyway, this is on, where is it? On Lugana 25 count. And I really don't want to stitch more on it. It's really not my type. And I keep asking myself, why on earth did you start this one? Because I will never, as in never, even if I finished it, I would never put it up on my wall. Never. So actually, I think what you see here is about 30 hours of waste. So, have you got any suggestions what I could do with it? Maybe I could give it and the pattern to someone who would like to finish it. Maybe that was an idea. Let me know in the comments if you think that would be a good idea, because then I know that someone can actually enjoy this one, because I really don't. And in case you want to see the back side, in case, this is how it looks. I'm not that very good at having neat back sides, but actually I think this is okay, in my opinion. So let me know what you think I should do with this, because I'm 99% sure that I'm never going to stitch on it again. So maybe it would be an idea. And of course you will get the paper pattern as well, because I have no use for it. So let me know what you think. Okay, moving on. The 29th of March, I began stitching Tutankhamun on Black Ada, 16 count. I should have something behind it. And it has been a while. I do have the pattern in Pattern Keeper, but just as a picture. So I cannot search symbols. So it does take a little longer than usually to stitch it. And this is a pattern by Permin, the Danish pattern maker. Okay, and we are not even, we are close to having been through half of my WIPs, but still some to go. On the 27th of April, I started Sewing Cats by Soda Stitch. And it's one of my WIP goals, but my WIP goal says that I should just finish 2 cats before the end of the year. And this is on 16 count pewter gray. And I think it's really cute, that little cat. But again, not in Pattern Keeper, because I have the paper chart. When I'm telling you these dates, you may think, oh, there's a lot of days in between, but I did have about 20 finishes this year, starts and finishes as well. So that's why there sometimes is a big gap between 2 new starts. On the 27th, of April, I also began Shannon Christine's Winter Snowfall. And I haven't been working on that for some time. It's on 14 count Ada called Yorkshire. And as you can see, I'm going for the teal colors. And then Stitch Mania began. And I had chosen that my Stitch Mania should be all about Halloween. And the first one I chose was a pattern I have found at Casa Chinina. It was a digital pattern and it goes into Pattern Keeper. And it was only, I think, 5 or 7 euros. And it's from Olaf and Stitch, and it's called Casa Stregata. It means the witch's house. And this is how far I got. I love the colors. I think it looks amazing. And I'm really looking forward to when it's eventually done. I do stitch on it from time to time. But I keep making new starts with big patterns, and then I prefer to finish those before I finish some of the smaller ones. Okay, that was on the 2nd of May I started Casa Stragata. On the 3rd of May I started on Blissfully Unaware by Hands On Design. And I don't think I have stitched on it ever since, but I think I remember that I actually stitched quite a lot this day, because this is stitched in 1 day. And this is stitched on 16 count hand dyed Ada. On the 5th of May, and the reason why there's nothing for the 4th of May is because that was a start and finish in the same day. And I have shown that one. I think it was this We Wish You a Happy Halloween or something like that. Waxing Moon Designs have made something called Haunted House Trio with 3 houses on it. And the first one I started was House Creepy. And it looks like this, and I haven't stitched on it ever since. I did manage to put this into Pattern Keeper, but only as a picture. That means I cannot, it means I cannot search the symbols, and therefore it does take a little more time. And by the way, we are past half of them now. Yay! It's very hot to sit here. And you can probably see I'm getting red in my face because it's so damn hot. Okay, moving on. The 7th of May, I began Cat O' Lantern from Just Cross Stitch Halloween 2020. And again, a matching needle minder. This is on Zweigert Lugana 25 count Bianco Antico. And I think it's turning out all right. Actually, I think it's a very cute cat. And if I just pulled myself together and sat down and dedicated one day for this, I will finish it. But I have another big project that I prefer to stitch on, so I will just have to wait. And if it's not my Halloween projects, if they're not done for this Halloween, then they will probably be done for the next Halloween. On the 9th of May, I began Something Wicked This Way Comes. It's one of my favorite. Actually, I never read it, but I know it's Ray Bradbury who wrote it, but I've seen the movie back in the 80s, and I liked the movie a lot. And therefore, I had to do it. I'm not going to do the whole pattern. I'm just going to do this border here and here, and then call it quits. And it's on 14 count wide Ada. On the 11th of May, I began a pattern from Lindner's Kreuzstich called Happy Halloween. And I got this far. It's on 14 count Zweigart Pale Lilac. And this picture I don't have in Pattern Keeper. I have way too many WIPs that are not in Pattern Keeper. It's really annoying. On the 13th of May, I began a solder stitch pattern again. This one is called Halloween and Black Cats. And I think it's in Pattern Keeper. And this is on... yeah, 16. I forgot to write that down. I think it's 16 count Ada and hand dyed by me. On the 13th of May, I began First Eek Avenue. I didn't do much, as you can see, because I think this was also the day I began stitching on the first spike. And then I didn't have time to stitch on this one. It's on 14 count hand dyed Ada. And the pattern is from Just Cross Stitch Halloween 2020. There's, yeah, you can see the picture up here. There's going to be a house down here. On the 14th of May, I began, it's not big, but because there's actually, and you can't say there's a lot of confetti either, but I remember when I stitched on it, I felt as if I had to change the color all the time. And I do have it in Pattern Keeper, but just as a picture, so again, I cannot search the symbols. And that's why I have a lot of threads. I will not say they're parked because they look a mess, but and it's not going to be very big, but it's full coverage, and therefore it does take a little longer. This is on 14 count Ada, hand dyed by me. On the 17th of May, I began another Olaf and Stitch pattern. This one is called Poison Jack. I do this on 14 count Ada, hand dyed by me, and I'm using Weeks Dye Work Trick or Treat. And this one I actually stitched on the other day, and I did get and I did get quite a lot accomplished. Actually, I think I have about 75% of it now. So I did do something to finish one of my WIPs. And I think it looks all right. As you can see, this is done and this is done, so I only need this one, and then it's done completely. Oh, soon coming to an end. Oh well, almost coming to an end. The next one was again Waxing Moon Designs. That's House 3, and this one is the Haunted House. As you can see, I did not do as much here. And this is on 16 count hand dyed Ada. And that was the 19th of May. On the 20th of May, I started on Black Cats. It's not big, and I don't know why I haven't finished it yet. Probably because of the reasons I gave you before, and instead of repeating myself, you can just go back and see what I said. I should also be able to finish that one in about 6-7 hours or so. So, and that's 16 count hand dyed Ada. And that pattern is also from Just Cross Stitch Halloween 2020. Actually, a lot of my Halloween are from that magazine. On the 21st of May, from Jardin Privé, Halloween, I can't, I'm stitching. And there I decided to give the witch a green face, and her face is made with silk from Misositas. It's on 25 count even weave called Mushroom. And as you can see, I haven't stitched more on it. On the 22nd of May, I started again from Just Cross Stitch Halloween issue, Pick Your Poison. And this is on 16 count hand dyed Ada. And I haven't done more than that. And it takes a long time because there's a lot of back stitching as well. There's a lot of back stitching here. Not back stitching, but you have to go around here, and it takes a long time. Actually, letters tend to take way too long to do. On the 23rd of May, I began a Madame Chantilly called Halloween Town. And I think it's going to be very cute. As you can see, it's going to be quite big, at least quite wide. It's stitched on 16 count hand dyed Ada. And unless I say hand dyed by Chromatic Alchemy, for example, but if I do not say anything, then it's hand dyed by me. On the 24th of May, I began stitching again Shannon Christine designs called Spooky Silhouettes, and I first began stitching pumpkins. And this is on 16 count hand dyed Ada. On the 25th, I began again from stitching from Just Cross Stitch Halloween, something called Shadows Whisper, and I'm not very far. It's on 25 count even weave. On the 26th of May, I started on another of Shannon Christine, namely the witch. As you can see, I changed the colors because I don't want to do them in the same colors. And on the 28th, I started on the owl, and this is in variegated floss. So you can see I have them all three here, but in different colors. Okay, and the 27th and the 29th, I began Happy Boo Day and Merry Fright Night. And they are both from the world of cross stitch. And this is Happy Boo. No, sorry. This is your Happy Boo Day. And the other one is Merry Fright Night. And this is stitched on 16 count Ada called Parchment. Yeah. Now we are getting close to an end. Yay! On the 30th of May, I began the last of the 3 houses. This is the haunted house. And as you can see, again, I put them all in the same fabric. And I think that I will turn them all into pillows eventually. On the 28th of May, I started a stitch along, Hello Sunshine, and I'm far behind. Last time I was doing, that was not a Sal, but Hello Petal, and I finished it very fast. This time I'm not even done with the first part yet. And you know the reason why. And this one is stitched on, where is it? 16 count Ada called Amethyst Cloud. I think the colors look very nice. And here in not so long, we will get part 3, and I'm not even done with part 1. The problem with Caterpillar cross stitch is that it doesn't go into Pattern Keeper. I have, because I have the digital version, I do have it in Pattern Keeper, but again, I cannot search the symbols. It's very annoying. On the 25th of June, I started Halloween Owls by Madame Chantilly. And this is on 16 count Ada called White Chocolate. And I did this. And now I can see I might have to save a butterfly before a cat gets to it. Just a moment. Okay, butterfly saved. We only got one WIP left. Before I show that one to you, this is one I began the day before yesterday. I would like to show you my finish, the second spike. And here it is. And I'm really pleased with it. And as you can see, it's an 18 count Ada, and I'm going to, first of all, as you can see, I have to soak it in water to get out all the lines. And then I'm going to frame it. I'm also going to frame the other one. So I'm very pleased with it. And then, no, I decided no more spikes, but another character by James Masters is Captain John Hart, which I find hilarious. I have the order, what you call them, radio plays from Torchwood, and it's hilarious, so I just had to stitch that one too. The first 2 spike portraits were quite easy. I could buy a personal use license of the photos. I couldn't find any photos on Alamy of John Hart. So I decided, okay, I'm going to take the cover of one of the radio plays, the audio CDs, and scan it and use that one. And this is what I've done. And so far, it's still just hair. This is on 18 count opalescent Ada. As you can see, it's a bit glittery. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there you can. This is going to be quite big. where the other two portraits with Spike were about 18,000 stitches. I think this one has about 40,000. But it's fun. And it has 150 colors. And I had 140 of them. So I only had to buy 10 of them. So that was my WIP Parade. I haven't done a WIP Parade before, so I don't know if this is how you do it, but this is, anyway, this is how I do it. I'm not going to put in my curator's corner today because I think it's already long enough, this video. So you will have to wait for my next Flosstube, and I don't know when that will be. I know that my first Flosstubes I usually did every second week, but at the moment I do Flosstube when I think I have the time for it. And actually I didn't want to do the WIP Parade today because it was so warm, but I know that I had answered in comments, because a lot of you wrote that you would like to see a WIP Parade, that I had written that I would do it this week, and it has been some weeks since my last Flosstube. So, well, now it's done. Now I just need to edit it, and I probably won't start editing it until it's getting a little cooler in the weather, which might be tonight or maybe in the early morning of tomorrow. So I don't know when this will be up, but I hope you will have fun, and please follow me on Instagram. Yeah, I think that was it. Until next time. Ta!